wait. So this is just for optics. None of these microphones are actually on, huh?
No, yeah.
I'm ready for New York. I got my coat on. I wasn't ready for this. Got my sweatshirt. Thought y'all was gonna bring New York with you.
Well, what does it feel for you right now? I mean, you're just a couple weeks out now at this point. So what's the feel for you?
Good anxiousness. Got that feeling of, man, everyone's like, yo, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, this week you're gonna be a millionaire. A month you're gonna be a millionaire. So they've been saying that for a little bit. So it's actually like getting to the point where, like, when someone says that, like, I get a little bit of like this feeling of like wet palms feeling, like, oh, okay, yeah, we're getting 4 weeks out, we're getting close. So it's just that feeling of, one day closer.
Do you almost wish they wouldn't say that? I mean, it's a weird thing, right? Like, in some ways, treat it like it's another fight, but it's not another fight. You know what I mean? It's $1 million.
No, I like when people give me an understanding of not only the time, the seasons, where we are, where they are. I like a little update. I ask Coach a lot of times, time check, and it's not because I'm tired. It's just because I like to know around what time it is, where we are. I mean, sometimes all throughout the day we ask people what time it is. It has nothing to do with how we feel. It's just kind of knowing, wanting to know. And that's a little bit how I am. So when people come up and like, hey, you got 4 weeks, it's like reminders like that let me know, like, hey, all right, in case you didn't know, you got 4 weeks, So just staying on the right time.
Nice. The matchup's kind of got a little flavor to it, right? It's making a little friendly rivalry between the two of you. Is that add to it, or I mean, do you try to put that aside, or what's your feel on that?
No, I'm excited about the fight. I'm excited of all the fights on the card. As a fan and as a fighter and all the things included, I'm most excited about our fight. I'm most excited about our fight because of the fans. You guys get to see a good little rivalry, the British striker versus the American wrestler, yada, yada, yada. But the animosity is not as much as, me wanting to fight a Chris Wade or something like that. But the championship level of mentality in me is saying nobody in the weight class can beat me. I don't care what organization. So the fact that I have a frenemy right now in camp, I've made him a frenemy. I don't like him for this camp. He runs in the cage, and I want him to fight. I want to say all these nasty things, but real talk, he's a good guy, and I'm gonna try to take his head off. Period.
Through the history of mixed martial arts, it seems like a lot of high-level wrestlers like fall in love with their hands and just they shy away from the wrestling. Like, what's the conversation within yourself? Because I know it feels good to lay hands on somebody, but at the same level, your wrestling is so top level.
You guys see it as wrestlers falling in love with hands. It's wrestlers falling in love with winning. When you get a wrestler who understands how to use his hands, they fall in love with whatever is the easier route at that moment. If you look at most of the wrestlers throughout history, most of the champions throughout mixed martial art history have been wrestlers. And once they understand the concept of mixed martial arts, like we understand the concept of wrestling and all the facets that have to do with it, because wrestling itself has top, bottom, neutral, different things like that. There aren't many other combat sports that have that many different facets of a sport that you need where you break down. Like, you break down passing, you break down tackling, you break down kicking, just like in football, you break things down. In other sports, you just kind of go through it. You don't really break things down. In wrestling, you have to be good on top. You have to be good on bottom. You have to be good on top. On your feet. There are different areas in which you have to add into it. So us wrestlers, when we learn the concept of mixed martial arts, we just get addicted to whichever the easiest route is to win. And a lot of times as a wrestler, knocking y'all asses out is the easier route because we've been wrestling all our lives.
Last thing for me, this win, what's it going to mean to you? $1 million is life-changing, right? But a title belt means something, or is it maybe even something within yourself? You know what I mean? Of just obtain this. Like, what would this mean to you?
It means a lot, man. It's a validation of a culmination of a career being validated in front of, I would say, all my Americans. I was a world champion. Every time I feel like I win a world championship, it's not in American land or whatnot. So I feel like this is a culmination of that career coming to a forefront in front of all my fans. It's on the East Coast. I'm an East Coast guy. It's at the Mecca Arena. You can't get any bigger. Co-main event, so you can't have a bigger stage or platform. It's going to mean everything to me, but it's mostly putting a stamp and validation on the fact that I'm one of the best fighters in the world. Period. I've been wanting to say that to Grandma for a long time. My grandma's a fighter, and I was talking to her not that long ago, and I was like, Grandma, what does it feel like to have like one of your grandchildren, she's got a bunch of grandchildren, one of your grandchildren being like one of the best fighters in the world? And she said, Bubba dog, I knew you was a fighter. Because I'm the type of fighter I am, I knew one of my children was going to have some kind of specialness, and you just happened to be him. And I was just like, all right, Grandma, nuts. So I'm whipping ass for Grandma, y'all.
What do you think of Brendan's win over Chris Wade?
I thought it was a mediocre win, to be real with you. Sitting on the side with Coach Dewey, the animosity, the London crowd, and things like that. You know, he told me later that it was his best performance, and he was, super nervous, and he had one too many drinks at his after party. He was giving me all the insights. You know what I mean? Because I'm a sober bird, I just kind of listened and wrote notes down. And the one thing was, he thought it was his best performance ever. The crowd and how he felt, and I thought he fought well, and I thought he fought with great understanding of the crowd and things like that. But for me, I thought it was, I thought he got hit a little bit too much by a wrestler who's not as good as a striker as I am. I thought that his anxiety and the pressure of who he was fighting weighed on him and got him a little tired. And I keep hearing, Coach keeps putting it in my head, Bubba Jenkins is only a 3-round fighter. Bubba Jenkins is only a 3-round fighter. We keep saying that, we keep hearing it. But often I've looked at his film, and he's been tired before 3 rounds has been up as well. I've seen him only be a 2-round fighter, so it don't really matter when it comes to 5 rounds, war, everything like that. So I'm excited about it.
There's been an influx of Dagestani wrestling for many years. How's it going to feel to be an American wrestler, the PFL champion?
It's going to feel amazing. I could give 2 shits about Dagestani wrestling because their wrestling isn't American wrestling. I don't give a damn about Russian wrestling. I really don't. It's freestyle. It's not folk style. If they came over here and wrestled Americans in folk style, we would beat the shit out of Russian wrestlers because it's control, it's top. We don't just take you down and hope to maybe turn you or something like that. College wrestling, collegiate style, folk style wrestling is the #1 style of wrestling in all of mixed martial arts, period. At me, come at me, holla at me, whatever you want to do. Look at the champions, and all of those guys have a form of NCAA wrestling ability to it. Obviously, except Khabib, who's like an outlier of that type of wrestling. But when you want to do stats, statistics, belts, and rack them up, NCAA wrestlers versus Russia champions, and then you're going to find all the belts over here, and a couple of Nurmagomedovs and Agastanians and whatever,
With that being said, and you being a fan of American wrestling, NCAA, what were your thoughts on Bo Nickel coming over to MMA?
I'm bittersweet. I'm bittersweet of the Bo Nickel situation, like I am of the Aaron Pico situation. There are some African brothers wrestlers in this game that do not get the platform that some of these guys have gotten. Phil Davis was an amazing national champ wrestler coming over from the exact same school, and we never heard about Phil Davis like we're hearing about Bo Nickel. I was the #1 prospect coming out of all of mixed martial arts in 2011, being the national champ wrestler I was and the athlete that I am. Bo Nickel has nothing on my athleticism. And the fact that they're giving him all this, he should have been on the contender. He should have been like, man, let the man get his work in. Let him go fight who he needs to fight. And then we'll see. I know that the wrestling will always win. So I'm not going to ever say Bo Nickel's not going to be a great fighter. He might be one of the greatest ever. But don't get your boy Bad Jenkins here trying to put on Bo Nickel when I've been grinding for this long. I'm a much better fighter. I'm a much solid fight. And he got more. I'm fighting for a world championship. This dude's a rookie amateur, and I'm up here answering questions about him. You feel me? Like as a real fighter, put him in the Jake Paul series.
Class on air, Jenkins. Going bubbing instead of clubbing. Where does these catchphrases come from?
I'm a good guy, but I'm a bad man with these words. I got away with these words, but I don't know, man. Just my personality. It happens to rhyme. We didn't go clubbing. We went to as many frats as I could fit in one night, and we signed every recruit we ever had. I lost one recruit, and that's because his brother was on the staff. I'm like, bro, if you can't sign your brother, I'm not going to try. So we went bubbit, and BMA, shout out to BMA, Badman Airlines. Y'all going to see the freshest airline flight of the year come Madison Square Garden. It's going to be first round class, and you know what, I might do it twice, so I might give them a there and back. I might send them and bring them back. It's round trip action, all the amenities, no seat belts. He can even come to the cockpit, see how everything's going. I mean, BMA is taking off New York, and we landing with $1 million championship.
I love it. Now, NCAA Division I champion in 2011. Now, 11 years later, you're knocking on the door of $1 million. Walk me through that process of achieving your goals and being disciplined through a decade of mixed martial arts.
Yeah, man, it's about availability. I say the best ability is availability. There are so many fighters that just don't show up when the time is there, or they get hurt in camp. I've never pulled out of a fight, hurt, injured, no matter what. I've never pulled out of a fight. I've also been here, like you said, 11 years grinding. I didn't go the amateur route, so my learning curve was, my fourth fight I was fighting Georgia Carcanian, Spike TV, Bellator, you know what I mean? So I took a hard route to get to the top. I wasn't helicoptered there. I didn't take an elevator. It was slick black ice up the mountain, and we're finally here in the position to claim the highest seat, and I'm excited about it. But my grind to being in this position is what helped me, what's got me here, knowing that I'm validated as one of the best fighters in the world. That route was tough.
Yeah. Now, August 2nd, 2013, you snapped a photo with Roy Jones Jr. and put it up on Instagram with the caption being, "Now you just need a photo with Muhammad Ali." What does it mean to compete on the same card as his grandson, Diageo?
I think that's pretty cool. I'm a respective person as far as the greats and the legends. So him having to be a seed of one of the legends and a moniker off of my name is a pretty cool thing. I'm mostly interested in his grandfather, and the things that he did, and maybe any cool stories that maybe he could have sat around the Christmas tree and had talks about. But other than that, he's another guy that's doing the same thing we doing. Like I said, I respect all people, but ain't nobody gonna shine in front of my eyes unless it's a legit legend, not his grandson.
Sure. Thank you, Bubba.
Yeah.
We ever get a Jordan Burroughs fight, you think?
Jordan is not built like that for fighting. I know Burroughs a lot. I know the mentality it takes to fight, and he likes to grind. He likes the gritty, but this thing different. Jordan Burroughs will never fight. He will wrestle only.
Hey, could you talk about your relationship with Wiz Khalifa?
Yeah, man. So me and Wiz Khalifa played when I was at Penn State. When I was doing my bubbing, I was running Penn State. When I was the president of Penn State, let's just say that, Wiz Khalifa came to town, and he was doing his Black and Yellow tour. And me being the top guy at one of the frats and whatnot, he came into the frats, and we had a good time. I don't think he would have remembered me. It was college time. It's years ago. And then when I heard that he was involved with the PFL, I hit him up on Instagram. Was like, hey man, a couple years back, we played beer pong together, yada yada. Didn't get an answer, so no big deal. Just being in the game, I actually he did a recording. It was like Bubba Jenkins yada yada is going. He did the voiceover, and then I messaged him about the voiceover. I sent him the clip of it, and he was like, oh yeah, congrats man, we'll see you. We'll see you in the tournament. And then one of my friends who I kind of was networking with, he was like, yo, Wiz is in town. I know you guys kind of friends. Let's link up. So I met up with Wiz, and I went to his hotel room, and as soon as he saw me, he was like, bad man, he brought me into the room. We hung out all night. We went to his concert. I was backstage, and I think he said he was going to come to the New York fight. He told me if I text him and let him know how serious it is, somebody's recording is done. He said if I text him and let him know how serious it is, I need him to be here, he'll show up. So yeah, my relationship with Wiz Khalifa is a good one, and we're gonna keep that PG-13 for now. All right.
Is Gable Stevenson gonna fight?
What do you say?
Is Gable Stevenson gonna fight?
I think Gable Stevenson will fight. The reason why I believe Jordan Burroughs might not fight, it's not because he's not a fighter. he's been getting silk sheet checks for a long time. And with that being said, why dabble in anything else when you are legitimately the greatest of all time, respectfully, in another sport? There's no need for him to even try to transition. There's only going to be doubters and haters in that field. You know, be the GOAT, stay the GOAT, do your thing. Even though I got to win over you. It is. History is history. I can't take that.
All good. Perfect ending.
Awesome.